Well, some high winds all day out of the north, and it definitely rattled the cactus cam. And it's garbage day in my neighborhood, so we'll see if the trash can's still there when I get off work. But then we started to see some of these clouds clear up, and things warmed up a bit more than we were expecting today, up into those lower 70s, and that's where everybody else is joining us. Looking at the temperature change over the last 24 hours, really leveled out in those 50s. Then we saw that gradual cloudy start, and things started to clear out, but those winds really stayed with us. And we're pushing up into those 70s, and we're waiting for the cool down right now. 73 here in San Angelo. Everybody else joining us in a combination, not really of 70s and 60s, but it's still a good 12-degree spread across the entire region. We're seeing some of those cold spots down there in Eden, Brady, then of course Ozona holding on to the heat right now at 74, but we're still seeing 10 degrees from the northwest down to the southeast right now. Junction still holding on to those 70s right now, and a bit warmer in Sterling City, but of course we're looking at how these conditions are starting to dry out. Didn't see any rain here in the Concho Valley, and now we're about to see a long, prolonged stint of some dry weather. Dew points are down near those 30s and those 40s, and if they go down any further and below those freezing points, definitely holding on to some more dry air. While those humidity indices have really dropped down into those 20s and those 30s, they were near 100% saturation points yesterday, but a lot more of this dry air coming in from the north. Now, we're usually on the tail end of a lot of these storms, so whereas the central pressure is a lot closer to the Concho Valley, closer to home right now, we'll see some return of some of that moisture as we make our way towards the weekend. Could see that cloud cover build in, but by tomorrow, we're definitely seeing some clear skies. Upper level pattern showing you this strong, long wave trough that's pushing off towards the east, causing problems across the Gulf Coast. That was that monster storm that caused a bit of trouble for parts of East Texas, but of course we're looking at that ridging that's going to keep things pretty comfortable in those 90s, but it's going to hold off this low pressure for a couple days before we start to see some of those winds really pick up. And then we're going to look at a double barrel low really push through, and we're going to see just how cold and inclement these conditions get, because that low pressure system, at least this long wave system, is really more towards the north of the panhandle. Usually it's a little bit further south, but we're still making that transition. And definitely get outside. You can see green everywhere, but those winds are really blowing through those trees right now. This is that storm that's causing all those problems across the Gulf Coast. And of course, usually we see these storms a bit more north, and we're looking at the cold air slide in behind it. That's where those northerly winds are coming from. Now, as the central pressure system continues to wrap and push off towards the east, that's where we're still holding on to some of those breezier conditions. But by tonight, things really looking to calm down. Get a good look right now, because things are about to stabilize across the entire nation. As this monster storm continues to push off towards the northeast, we'll see just how bad it gets for them. But look how strong this high pressure really is. Remember, that ridging goes all the way from Texas all the way up into Montana, but off towards the west coast, that slow circulation definitely taking its time. This is by Friday afternoons. Things are still looking pretty pleasant across the entire Concho Valley, so definitely get out there and enjoy that rodeo. So tonight, holding on to some of those breezier conditions, but getting back down into those 40s. Should expect those winds to die down around early morning Thursday. Then we're going to have a beautiful run at those temperatures in those 80s, if not a bit warmer than that. And that's where we're going to stay for a couple days. But as we make our way towards Sunday, we're pushing up 10 more degrees, up into those 90s. Going to be pretty pleasant, but still concerningly dry as we make our way into that third week of April already. And we're going to see some more breezy conditions, but those lows are hanging out in those 50s and those 60s, and then fighting back and forth. Stay tuned. We'll have more after the break. You're watching KSAN News 5.